You're now locked into Zone 32.
Grant Durflinger, Jake Miller, the infamous Drew.
Only on NeutralZoneInfractions.com.
End Zone Infraction.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another installment of the Zone 32 podcast, presented to you as always by us. My name is Jake. His name is Grant. His name is Drew. Say what's up.
Post bye week shenanigans, what it do?
That's right.
The deadline shenanigans too.
The bye week just happened. The trade deadline just happened. You see these different teams making moves, like the Rams trading for Von Miller and the Chiefs trading for Melvin Ingram. And the Ravens traded for nothing because they didn't make any trades. They made no moves. They stood pat. Unlike 2 years ago when they traded the fifth for Marcus Peters, and unlike last year when they traded the third and the fifth for Yannick Ngakoue. One of those moves worked. The other did not. So, Drew, floor is yours. Go rant on EDC right quick.
I just want to know why Marlon Mack is a healthy scratch for the Colts tonight and not in, purple and black for Sunday. Clearly, we need a running back, and no reason why we didn't go get him. If the Colts don't even want him to play, what was the point of not going out and trading for him? Zach Cunningham is another name. We can't tackle. Zach Cunningham is a tackling machine. It really doesn't make too much sense why we didn't go out and make any moves at the trade deadline. I feel like, this is a year where a lot of our, rivals, I guess, the Chiefs made a small move for Ingram. He really wasn't that good with, Steelers this year. But, this is a year that you could have gone out, made a, legitimate move, kind of solidified the team, especially dealing with like 17 guys on IR. And really all we needed was like a decent running back and some middle linebacker depth. And EDC makes zero moves, which makes zero sense to me. Just do not understand his thought process. I don't understand why we are not trying to get better, using the excuse of the salary cap, which is clearly fake, as you can see with Von Miller going to the Rams. There were moves to be had, and it makes no sense why we didn't make any. But, the guy gets paid to do his job. He doesn't do it very well from my vantage point, but it is what it is. On to the Vikings, and hopefully that this doesn't come back to bite us in the ass.
Well, there you go. Grant, I'm going to leave it to you. I'm going to let you lament.
I agree. I'm less critical. I'm an EDC guy, but I think that he kind of really dropped the ball on this one. And I get everybody's going to say, okay, 17 guys on IR or whatever, and I could understand maybe a little hesitancy with the running back. I wanted Marlon Mack too. I either wanted Marlon Mack, Melvin Gordon, or James Robinson. For some reason, the Jaguars don't like James Robinson. He's an animal. But I get the thought process of, hey, what happens next year? You got two bona fide studs coming back. You can always grab a middle round guy if you want to. Lord knows we have five fourth round picks, something like that. So, but on the same side, I was big on the Zach Cunningham. When I saw that he was available, I'm like, that's an absolute fucking no brainer. Like your whole issue, and we talked about it last week's show. The whole issue is we can't tackle right now on defense. You got a guy that had over 160 tackles last year. Like what? Like you know that they're in a straight sell mode, so it's not like you have to give up a whole lot for him. I get the cap thing, but I'm pretty sure Zach Cunningham is still on either his rookie deal or he's on a minimal contract compared to position wise. But like Drew said, salary cap is super fluid. You got your people who are like, oh, you're an idiot. They didn't do this because there is a salary cap. No, if teams want to make something happen, they can make it happen. You can call it kicking a can down the road if you want. Some people call it wanting to win right now. And when you have a team that you're 5-2 right now, you're leading your division, there's a couple really big holes that you could have solidified right there. You got 5 guys coming back from the IR. So not only are you 5-2, you got 5 starters coming back, and you could have solidified 1 or 2 of those positions. The Zach Cunningham move makes a lot more sense for the future because we don't know what's going on at middle linebacker. It seems like nobody's playing well but Josh Bynes, and we talked a little about that, Drew said before the show. And, it just makes too much sense. Zach Cunningham's a guy that could be a Raven for the future. Him and Patrick Queen, him and Malik Harris, I mean, it just, there's a lot of different movements put there. I mean, you could have got an O-lineman. I mean, Dillard was on the board. There's a swing tackle right there that you've been looking for. Villanueva's probably gone after this year. We don't know what Ronnie Stanley's going to be. That's a significant injury for a big guy. I hope he comes back and as well, but that's not something easy to come back from as a left tackle when that's your plant foot. Like, that's not something that's going to be easy to – you can't expect an all-pro guy when he comes back, basically. If he is, cool, but you can't expect that. But I think he really dropped the ball. I mean, I think there's potential of this team to make a run. As long as Lamar Jackson's under center, you got a chance to win a football game. Marlon's not going to have a game like that again. If he did, I would be completely surprised. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, I'm all in with the fact that definitely should have made a move, whether it was running back, interior O-line, swing tackle, or middle linebacker. I mean, something needed to be done, and nothing happened. Sat on our hands. We got a buku of draft picks. You got to solidify and build. I understand you like draft capital, but you got Pro Bowl potential right there. I mean, Marlon Mack steps in right now, and with the running game that we have, he's a guy that could come out and bust out, 800-900 yards rushing in the second half of the season. It is what it is at this point. So I just hope that we come out of this bye week. I think that was a wake up call against the Bengals. I don't see a loss like that happening again. But they're gonna have to crunch down. These slow starts got to stop.
I'm a basketball fan, Celtics fan, and I know it's a little bit different of a tangent, but for years I watched Danny Ainge sit on his hands and not make trades. He had a stockpile of draft picks. Celtics were, one superstar away from being a legitimate contender in the East. I mean, LeBron was running train on the East every year. He had one more guy to, put you over the top and compete with him. And he never did that, and now he's out of a job. And I get those same kind of vibes from DaCosta of, he values draft picks more than he values probably his own children at this point. And he just, keeps stockpiling these third, fourth round picks that he doesn't really hit on. I mean, if you look at his draft history, it's not good. Like, there's really no way to sugarcoat it. I mean, he's hit on a couple of first round picks and a couple early guys, but nothing has really,
Andrews
come from these.
He was
Andrews, but Andrews was Aussie. So
Mark Andrews is
if you look, we took two guys in the fifth round this year that aren't even on the roster, like never even made the opening week roster. Like
Trey Smith was sitting right there.
Yeah, Trey Smith was sitting right there. I understood the Mason pick at the time because you didn't know if Boyle or Ricard were going to be ready for the year. There was a chance that both of them were going to miss time to start off the year coming off surgery. But once you knew, Ricard was ready, Mason becomes a useless pick. Sean Wade is a slot corner. Like, why are we taking him instead of a tackle? And we had a ton of corners, clearly. Like, we don't, we shipped them off for next to nothing. So I just feel like this whole stockpiling draft picks when you don't hit on these late round picks is kind of a, stupid way to look at the team. Like, we're built to win now and we're built to win for the future. We're built to win as long as Lamar Jackson can play football. So there's no need to.
It's like it's a safe hope. It's like, I'm safe because I'm middle of the pack, but top tier middle of the pack. But if we succeed and we do go into the playoffs and make a run, or we do make a Super Bowl, it makes it look that much better. But that's the gamble of being with that mediocrity there. You're floating for a safe hope. You hope that you succeed, but you're playing it safe. And I think that we need to be more aggressive, especially
100%.
Right now.
100%. You can't, just sit around and wait for the roster to come together. There's going to be injuries every year. There's going to be, unforeseen guys that go down that are going to potentially hurt your team. And it's like, if there's somebody out there to trade for, like a Marlon Mack or a Zach Cunningham, that's not going to cost you the future. There's no point in holding on to your, bottom of the fourth round that you got for a compensatory pick instead of going and getting somebody that helps you this year.
Yeah. Already developed.
Exactly.
Precisely. I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head, and not to mention what you're talking about, like hoarding fourth round picks. You're hoping you can hit essentially a developmental guy that winds up being pretty good, i.e. a Matt Judon of the sort. Someone who you take a flyer on and winds up making your roster and isn't great, but he's better than what you expected. So, I mean, with hoarding those picks, I'm like, you use it to make a move. Oh, shit, send a fucking 6th, 7th, something real late to the Colts, because obviously they don't want to use Marlon Mack. I mean, he's again active for Thursday Night Football against the Jets, and he's a healthy scratch at that. So, I mean, see if we wind up with an Odell Beckham situation on our hands. Not that his dad will post highlights of him, but more, do the Colts want him? Because I get the impression if you're just going to have him be a healthy scratch and you're just going to play your two backs and Hines and Jonathan Taylor, you don't really want him on your team. I'm just saying. But anywho, we move on.
Back to like the old age argument of, I was always on the side of give me a proven player over a draft pick. Like, I never understood why the Ravens weren't one of those teams that when they're picking in the late 20s, having a successful season, Patriots go out and get Brandon Cooks for a first, or go out and get, they're not afraid to move because you're getting a proven guy. Like, I never understood that. You got a chance to get a young Pro Bowler, and somebody's like, hey, let me get a first round pick, and you don't want to do it because you might get a guy that might pan out. Like that never made sense to me. I'll always value a proven player of a pick. Of course, age and injury history comes into a dependency on that, but I'll never understand people taking draft picks over proven players in any given situation, unless you're picking top 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if your first round picks for rentals are questionable, I can understand
Yeah,
both sides of that argument. But
yeah,
if
but I
it's a
mean,
guy
somebody that
that's
had
got
potential to stay.
somebody's got 3 years left on their contract, like
Yeah.
that first round pick is, the way the Ravens run things, like that first round pick is going to be pretty useless their first year. We typically don't start rookies right off the bat. It takes them some time to break in. So you're talking about burning the first year of that deal. Second year of that deal is still kind of like a developmental year. And then so by year 3, they're good, whereas you could have had 3 years of like a legitimate player. And
Yeah.
it just
Ole's
doesn't make sense
balling,
to
but
sit on
that's
your
like a rare breed.
Well, that's kind of out of necessity too. There was nobody else in
Yeah.
that position, so it's sort of like he had to ball, like he had to step in and play well. And we have guys like that. It may, Marlon came in his rookie year because we had nobody playing in secondary and did well. Ronnie Stanley, I think, started right off the bat. Hollywood and Boykin started right off the bat because we had Seth Roberts and Willie Snead as wide receiver 1 and 2. So if there's like a legitimate need, I get that the rookie steps in and, potentially plays well. But in general, like there's no point in hoarding picks if you can win now.
Not to mention the crapshoot that is the NFL draft. I mean, on one hand, sure, you could wind up with taking someone in the late first round, like an Odafe Oweh, and he pans out and winds up being your team's best pass rusher. Or you could just sit there at pick 32 and take a Matt Elam. I'm saying, like, why hoard the pick to take a Matt Elam when you could have had a Brandon Cooks or you could have had Minka Fitzpatrick, anything of the sort. I'm just saying. So that pick wound up turning into the tackle for the Dolphins are now Austin Jackson, or did that turn into that corner that doesn't play at all? I'm just saying.
I think it turned it, or was it Waddle that they?
No, that was Philly. That was
Waddle
a year.
Was Philly, yeah, you're right. Yeah, but I mean, regardless, like rarely do you hit on first round picks to the extent that you draft an All Pro right off the bat. Usually, guys don't step in and don't produce at an All Pro level their first year. It's just impossible to expect that on a year-to-year basis.
Well, man, we just talked about Trey Smith. He's probably the number 1 performing rookie right now, and he was a 6th rounder.
Yeah,
That's the truth. But anywho, let's fast forward. Sunday, Ravens play host to the Vikings. Wearing their purple and black. Last time that happened, it was the snow game, which had one of the more ridiculous finishes with Toby Gerhardt's was a 40-yard TD run, Jacoby Jones with the kick return, then Cordero Patterson with that bubble screen and just breaking Matt Elam's ankles, which was really funny. Then Marlon Brown with the game winner. One of the crazier games I've seen. Like that ending was nuts. Anywho, I'm gonna start with Grant. Give me a preview on this Minnesota Vikings game. What are you looking to see outside of like victory or defeat? That's basic.
Yeah, I mean, so that game, that's probably one of the funnest games I've ever been to. I was at that game. We actually left in the 4th quarter with like 6 minutes, or it was like right before the run happened. We were literally sitting there piled in snow. Like it was like piling up on us. We're like, fuck it, let's go to Mother's. So we went to Mother's to watch the end of the game. And I was sitting there the whole time just shaking my head. I was like, this is nuts. I mean, it was like touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. But no, going down memory lane, that was the Marlon Brown game. But no, I mean, this weekend, it's a different story. Coming off one of the worst losses that I think we've had in quite some time, probably since I think Drew said it last week with the Texans game. Was it 2015?
Yeah, 2012, where you got the London game.
12, yeah, because that was the year we won the Super Bowl. But I don't, Kirk Cousins comes out. We have the type of defense that would give him problems. But he's also the free slinger that he's got enough weapons that the way our pass defense has been playing, he could go out there for 400. But I think that it comes out different. I think having an extra week to game plan, getting your ass kicked like that by a division rival, I think puts a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth. So, the preparation was big. You don't want to come off a bye week, getting a loss after that. That puts you at 5-3. Then you're back in the mix. You want that advantage, get that game and a half up, or that game up, sorry. But I think that, we need to do what we do best. Roman needs to stop getting cute. We need to do what we do best. We need to run the football. We need to plow forward, play forward, and we need to do misdirections. Keep them moving side to side. You got to keep the defense moving horizontal. And, when he gets away from those quick crosses, those quick outs, the running QB sweeps, reverses, that type of stuff. When he starts throwing the ball down the field, I mean, there's too many times where we'll have 2nd and 3, Lamar throws a 50-yard bomb down the field. Why? Get the first down. Do that on first down. Get the first down, do it on first down, then okay, I got 2nd and 10. But don't do that on 2nd and 3 or 3rd and 2. You're throwing a 30-yard bomb, what are you doing? We do too much of that, and we give away possessions. There's a lot of times there's 3 and outs in the first couple drives of the game. It looks like they're just trying shit out. It's like, okay, well then what happens if our defense makes a mistake, they score? Now you're playing from behind. We need to start fast and play fast, and we don't do that. I don't know if it's Roman, but I mean obviously it is. But I think that they are going to come out ready. I think they're going to get back to what they do best. I think we're going to run the football. Latavius Murray's back. The other old heads aren't really, doing what we thought they were going to do. Freeman hasn't played bad, but I think, there could be this could be a big game for Lamar. Bateman's going to have another week under his belt. He's got confidence brewing. I could see him having, 100 yards this game and a touchdown. He's targeted a lot. The routes that he runs are complement to him being a skillful receiver in the sense of gaining yak. And then what that does is that opens up Hollywood over the top. So, I mean, I think that we could come out playing a scheme of a lot of play action, take advantage of that running game that we hope comes back.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think from a defensive point of view, they have to just stop the Vikings from getting big plays. If they're going to score, it's going to happen. Our defense is just not the same defense that it's been. They have too many weapons. Cook's going to find the end zone. Thielen or Jefferson's probably going to find the end zone. If you can kind of limit them from the, quick strike, big play touchdowns, keep them under, probably 24 points, I think it's a very winnable game. Get the run game going. And I know that their secondary is pretty bad. I think between Bateman and Hollywood, you should have somebody having a fairly big game from the receiver position. And Mark Andrews should go off as well. Like you said, instead of, I saw a stat online, Lamar is averaging, I want to say it's like 12 air yards per attempt. And the next closest guy in the league is 9 yards, because he's just lining up and bombing it down the field on 3rd and 2 for no reason. I don't understand, that kind of play call. It looks like, Roman just calls 4 verticals every play, which makes absolutely no sense. Again, I'm just hoping that the offense is efficient, can run the ball well, and we can just kind of outscore the Vikings. I think our offense is good enough to do that, and their defense is bad enough for us to do that.
Yeah, I could see a big game from Owe to the, against them. I think that he's playing with a high confidence right now too, and he's getting in there, even against the Bengals. I mean, he was getting in there. And, I think Kirk Cousins is somebody that holds on to the football a little long sometimes and, could take that to an advantage. But if you've got Tyler Conklin, start him this week. I bet you he scores. They're playing the Ravens.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. Him and Dalvin Cook are going to put up big fantasy numbers.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. If you're looking to stream a tight end in fantasy, stream whoever plays the Ravens. I did that, and CJ Uzama wielded me a big week in fantasy. So Tyler Conklin's not a bad start at all. If you have somebody on the bye or you have George Kittle on IR or something of the sort. But anywho,
hey, who's not bad at covering tight ends? Zach Cunningham.
Yeah, been a pretty solid guy to pick up.
Right, but either way, Kirk Cousins is the ultimate barometer to how well your defense is. If he lights you up, you have a bad defense. If he has a bad day against you, you're at least pretty good, at least among the top half of the league. That's among the top 16 teams because he doesn't do much against good teams or good defenses. If only this game is in prime time because he's hot garbage in prime time, that he does not play well, especially on Monday night. But, ifs and buts is candy and nuts, and we'd all have a Merry Christmas if that was the case, but that ain't the case. What I'm looking forward to seeing, though, is Marlon. He has an opportunity to bounce back. Though I think instead of him getting put on Justin Jefferson all game, I got the feeling we'll be seeing a little more of Thielen, and they'll try to double and take away Justin Jefferson. Good luck. They'll get theirs. But that being said, you put your best corner on their number 2, and then bracket and take away the number 1. Give Avery some help over there. That's my thought process. But I'm not Wink Martindale. We'll see what comes of the game, and then Tavon Young have a day against C.J. Osborne. That's either way.
And the thing with Kirk Cousins too is if you make them pull off sustained drives to score, I mean, we're talking like 10 plus plays, the chances of him making a mistake are pretty high. Like, he tends to press, he tends to make stupid throws from time to time. If you can make him, have to make 10 good throws to get him in the end zone, like chances are one of them is going to get picked off. Instead of giving up the, 40-yard pass that nobody tackles and somebody runs it in for an 80-yard touchdown, like, make the tackle, make him make continued throws, and it's probably not going to end well for him.
Precisely. You're not wrong about that. But yeah, furthermore, to your point about Oweh potentially having a good game, Vikings offensive line isn't particularly great either. And also, they just announced today that Garrett Bradbury's been put on the reserve COVID list. They haven't announced whether he's out or not, so maybe he's vaccinated, maybe he's not. But either way, that's something to consider because if your center is out against that kind of a defense, putting a backup in there who doesn't have a whole lot of experience could get miscues along the O line and blown assignments, leading to free rushers. He doesn't like that too much. But anywho,
and you got to think he was in a meeting room too with the rest of the O line. So any of them are unvaccinated. Maybe you got some contact tracing. Now they're down 2-3 starting offensive linemen, and that's that should be a field day for Oweh in Houston.
Yep,
should be.
No question. But anywho, that's gonna do it for us this week. We will be back to recap what happens on Sunday and preview Thursday Night Football since it's all close within the same proximity the same week. Or maybe we won't. We'll talk about it regardless. You'll hear from us at some point. But either way, meantime, I'm going to make a noise.
See ya!
Grant Derflinger, Jake Miller, the infamous Drew.
Zone 32.